All for coming. My name is Nate Willems. I am the chair of the Linn Phoenix Club. And first, we really want to thank Craig and Priscilla again for opening up this absolutely wonderful space and for providing all of the wonderful food. This is more than we deserve, right? But thank you all for coming. This is, as you know, the Linn Phoenix Club. We exist for the purpose of raising money to help out our Linn County Democratic candidates for the legislature and for county-wide office. This is our last event prior to the election. We will regroup and have another event after the election, and somewhere between November and January. But we will.
After you become another set of memberships.
Absolutely. After we pick up another set of memberships, we raise our money, as Kay points out, two ways. Through memberships and through events like this. So we will soon be taking a step back to let all the candidates do their events and not get in their way. But we have a very special guest tonight that we're thrilled to have. And I was thinking about kind of as people were starting to fill in tonight, we have a lot of Linn County Patty judges in the room. We have Dr. Julie Thomas, who started the first ever all-female medical clinic and ran for Congress. And we have Lou Barron, who's a longtime Democratic county supervisor. And we have Kay Halloran, longtime legislator and mayor of Cedar Rapids. And maybe the best example of all of a Linn County Patty judge, we have Jean Oxley, longtime county supervisor. Lots of strong women who've been pioneers in business and in government here that we're very happy to have their support. We also have a couple of men here too.
We were being very generous to let them come.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We have one candidate for the legislature this year who's here, Mark Seidel, who is running in the district which has Hiawatha, Cedar Rapids, part of Marion. The open seat being vacated by Craig Paulson, a pickup opportunity to try to turn the House blue this fall. And we also have an elected official from my hometown, from Mount Vernon. We have Tom Weisler, longtime school board member and city council member of Mount Vernon. So folks, we're 100 days away from the election. A month ago or whenever the last time I saw a poll, I saw at least two different polls showing Chuck Grassley at well below 50%. I've never seen that before. Has anybody else ever seen that before? This is a great opportunity. It's a year that nobody can predict what will happen. Patty is running a great campaign, the strongest campaign since 1980 when Grassley defeated John Culver. This is by far and away the toughest challenge he's ever faced. And you know what? The momentum, I think, is building, and Patty can do it. So without further ado, our featured guest, Patty Judge.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you very much. My gosh, that light is terrible. Let me move away out from behind it because that's blinding me and I can't see you. Okay, you can hear me now, okay? Great, well that's a lot better because now I can have a conversation with you instead of standing there blindly. Thanks for inviting me tonight. It's good to see you, all of you, and to have a minute to spend with you tonight. And I see so many friends. At this point in my life, I do not talk about my old friends, I just talk about my friends. And it's good to see people that I have known for a long time and have worked with and admired here tonight. And you heard a lot of them introduced. And Mark, I certainly wish you the best in this race. And I want you to know that I have you on a list of people that I'm supposed to call tomorrow to tell you I'll come and help you. So I'm just telling you now, I'll come and help you. And any time that you have an event or something, if we can make it work, I'll come over. I want to see you win that seat, and you need to do that. So here we are, and you heard a little bit. that this is shaping up pretty good. When I got in this race, the conventional wisdom was that this was a giveaway, that Chuck Grassley was unbeatable, that he is the most popular politician in the state of Iowa. His favorabilities were sky high. No one could touch him. Well, guess what? The favorabilities are down in the low 40s. We are polling, depending on what poll you want to look at, any place from about a point down to 8 points down. But every poll that comes out is in single digits. And this is August, folks. We have time. There is still a block of undecided vote, some soft vote, and we have time to take this. What I've been telling people all over the state is if you have not decided in the last 42 years that you're going to vote for Chuck Grassley, I really doubt that you're going to decide to do it this year. So we are in a good position. We are working hard every day. There's only 95 days left, as you know, and it's full throttle every day for my campaign. Now, I don't do this by myself. I've got a team of really bright, energetic people that keep me going and keep me on the road. I literally am living in my car. That's okay. I certainly, this is the 5th time I've been on a statewide ballot. I knew what I was getting into. No one has to feel sorry for me about that. I just like to feel sorry for myself once in a while about it. But it's good. It's good. We're having a good time, and I think we're making a difference. And you know, that's really what it's all about. Is are we going to be able to do something that is really significant, not just for Iowa, but for this whole country? Now, I am so proud to be on this ballot with Hillary Clinton. And I think this is a unique time in history. The first woman to ever be on a national ballot, and such an accomplished, fine person as Hillary. And you know, you all know that in one of the districts here in the Cedar Rapids area is all women all the way down, right? Yeah, cool, really cool. But we are in this all together, and I want to tell you that right at the start here. This is a strong, coordinated campaign this year, and that is from Hillary Clinton down through everyone on the ballot. And we have field organizers and energetic people in all of the communities of any size whatsoever in this state. I had an opportunity yesterday to meet with them briefly as they were in Des Moines for a training. And my gosh, you would be so impressed at those people and their commitment and their excitement about going out and knocking on doors and making telephone calls and getting the vote out and making sure that we don't leave anybody, and we don't let anybody fall through the cracks. Because of course that's how we're going to win the election. My campaign is housed now in that coordinated campaign. We're folding that all together. Everybody is pulling their own weight. Everybody's doing their job. I have really, in all the years I've been doing this, which is now around 25, I have never seen such unity, such coordination between the races. And that's the way it has to be, and that's the way we have to keep it if we're going to win. So, I will tell you why I think Chuck Grassley is going to go. First of all, he's on the wrong foot, constantly, consistently, and it's way past time. You know, people have said to me, well, is this a one-issue campaign? You know, all you're talking about is this issue of the Supreme Court nominee. The fact that he has refused to have hearings and that it is now the longest number of days in the history of this country that we have gone between the death of a Supreme Court justice and a hearing to replace it. We are now there. We are over that marker. But you know that for people that are watching what's going on and watching Grassley over the last few years, That is one instance. One. Really, he has moved further and further to the right, and he is now not having any hearings on any federal judiciary committees whatsoever, positions whatsoever. He has said there will not fill anymore during this administration. You know, those things alone are enough. But do you all know what happened to the Voters' Rights Act and the Supreme Court decision on that, and the ground that was lost in making voting available to everyone across the country? The legislation that will restore the teeth to that act and allow people to vote this November is being held up by Chuck Grassley. There is no excuse for the things that are going on. And it just simply is time that he has to go. Now, you know, he's been here a long time. A lot of us have supported him. A lot of us have worked for him. But at some point, he has quit working for us, for Iowa, and he is now part of the political arm of the Republican caucus. And, you know, it's time. So, what are we going to do? You know, it's real simple. This is about common sense, family values. It's about middle-class working people. These are the people, this is where we all come from, and these are the people that are not being heard. There's a lot of unhappiness, you all know that. There's a lot of people that are concerned, worried about the future. They're worried about their jobs. They're worried about the fact that their salaries are not raising the way they should. They're worried about retirement pensions being intact when they finally get to that magic time. They're worried about Social Security and whether or not that's going to be here. I mean, the list goes on and on. And there's a reason. And a lot of that worry, that unhappiness is very validated. It's very much validated. But the fix is not all that difficult. On many of those issues, the fix is very simple. If you put down the political games and talk about realistically about what can we do to make sure that Social Security is solvent in the future, and it's not privatizing it, it's not letting it go to Wall Street. It's really simple. It's really simple. Take the cap off.
Yes.
You know, I mean, these are the kind of simple things that they know. They know it as well as you and I know it. But they are not willing to bring that up, to have those discussions. They are really protecting the very wealthy people in this country. That is the whole game. It's the 1%. And we have got to do better. We've got to do better. We've got to make certain that middle-class families have got a fair shot. And I guess that's up to us. That's up to the Democrats. It always has been. And it's going to be in this election, too. Now, I will tell you, the issues that I'm hearing about, besides the ones that I just mentioned, are education. Those issues go all the way from 4 years old through college. There is concern about our educational system, about its funding, about how we get kids educated well in today's global society, and how we get them through college, if that's their choice, without absolutely weighing them down with student loan debt. And we can do that. Again, this is a discussion that should be being held. And I have asked the question many, many times, why are student loan debts being written at 7.5%, 8%, or 8.5% interest?
Amen.
That is way beyond any interest rate anybody is charging on anything. And I don't get an answer. I don't get an answer. So I would say to Chuck Grassley, if you want to have a hearing on something, maybe you don't, why don't we have a hearing to find out what's going on with those student loan debts, and why someone in government thinks that we need to be charging that kind of an interest rate to young professionals as they enter their working career. No, we don't. We need to get that under control. We need to get those loans restructured. We need to get some of that interest forgiven and get those people on the way to being contributing members of society. That's a must. Now, I hear also, as I've been traveling around the state over and over and over, health care issues, Affordable Care Act, what we can do to strengthen that, particularly in the areas of prescription drugs and the high cost of drugs. But beyond all that, you know, the one thing that I hear in every community, and maybe even more in rural communities than here, like here in Cedar Rapids, is the mental health issues. In community after community all over the state, there are no services for people with mental illness. There's no beds, there's no trained professionals, and we've got a serious problem. We close those hospitals. You know, I don't know whether we should close hospitals or not. You can look into that when you get up there. But I'm telling you, you can't close the hospitals and not have an alternative. You know, we can't just close the hospitals and say, okay, now we don't have mental health hospitals anymore. You know, if we were going to close them, we have to have that replaced with a strong community-based mental health system, which we don't have. We don't have it. And that has got to be remedied. We can't have people in crisis going into emergency rooms in rural hospitals and the poor staff, and you know, I used to be a nurse, so I have some empathy for the staff. The staff being confronted with, how do I take care of this person? What do I do for this person? I can't even handle them in this emergency room. They're a threat to themselves. They're a threat to everyone else here.
So you send them to the sheriff.
Bingo. You call law enforcement. And then they end up in jail. And that's happening over and over and over. We are dead last in providing those services in the country. And folks, this is Iowa. You know, we are supposed to be educated, smart people. And we're not doing well here. So we've got a lot of work to do. A lot of work. Now, I am excited about this race. One of the wild card factors that I never anticipated when I started thinking about this, believe me, was Donald Trump. Who did? Did anyone in this room think that as we sit here tonight, that Donald Trump would be the Republican nominee for President of the United States? No. Of all of the cast of characters that we saw a year ago, I would have probably had him pegged last. He is, I have to try to think how I say this properly, all of the press here. The obvious disregard that he holds for people that are different than him, whether that's a different religion, whether that's a different color, a different gender, a different sexual orientation,
A different hairdo.
you know, a hairdo, you know, it is unacceptable. It should be unacceptable to everyone in this country that is okay, because it's not okay. And it's not okay to do the things that he's even done in the last few years, when he publicly tries to take down the family, a Muslim family whose son gave his life for our country. That's not acceptable. And I am not only, will I do everything in my power to keep him from even thinking he's going to be president. I believe that Chuck Grassley has cast his lot with him. He has, from the first, even before the caucuses, he was on stage with him, introducing him, praising him, clapping for him. And while other people in their party have moved away, have said, whoa, that's enough of that, not from Grassley. He's there. He's with them every step. And, you know, if that is his values today, that is not, those are not Iowa values. And for that reason alone, it's time for him to go. So we got a lot of work to do. And I appreciate everything all of you do, everything that you've all been doing, because I know many of you have been working in the trenches for a long, long time. And of course, people like me who do not live here and live in areas of the state that are somewhat less friendly, appreciate all of that work you do. And we appreciate you getting that vote out here, because that really helps. You know, I've got to run from Davenport to Sioux City. And I really, I'm going to need every vote that we can get out of the eastern half of this state, because this is where these races, where Hillary's race and my race will be won or lost.
This is where the votes are.
That's right, you're the votes. Yeah, all right, Sarah, you're the smart people. Anyway, thank you very much for letting me come tonight. And I'll take a few questions. Any or comments? Anything anybody's got on their mind? Okay. Am I going to get off easy? No, no, of course not.
Patty, this is a group of Linn County people, and Democrats obviously are still performing well in Linn County or Johnson County, but in the 90 smaller counties in Iowa, you see Bruce Braley struggle, or other candidates struggle recently, and being from Albia, what do Democrats need to be doing better? Not if not winning, at least being competitive in some of our smaller counties in Iowa.
Well, again, a lot of this shift to Republican, in my opinion, in rural counties is people's unhappiness, just general lack of opportunity, and somehow they've latched on to some things that the Republicans talk about that they think are good for them. And of course, it's snake oil sales. But what we really have got to do is not give up on them. I was telling someone earlier today, that when I first ran for a political office was in the early 1990s, as we were coming out of a farm crisis. Yep. And at that point in time, when I first ran in Monroe County, my little rural county, we had about a 5 or 6 point Democratic advantage. And you know why? Because everybody's back was against the wall, and farms were being sold on the courthouse steps, banks were closing, people didn't know whether they were going to make it or not. And by gosh, they're Democrats, and they voted Democrat. We've had some pretty good years in agriculture, and I think a lot of them switched their allegiance back. But I don't give up on them. I don't give up on them. What I think we can do, and we should be doing, is doing more party building in those rural communities. At one point in time, Nate, there was a 30 county or 33 county strategy. I can't remember if 30 or 33 county strategy we talked about. And it was, this is where the votes are, which was you folks, the counties, and don't worry about the rest of them. And that was absolutely wrong, because anybody that's had any military experience would tell you, you don't give away that, you fight your fights there, you don't give that away to them and then fight your fights in Cedar Rapids. And we let that happen, so now we have to rebuild. And again, putting staff out there, trying to find activists. It's harder and harder because people are getting older and older, and we have not done a very good job of recruiting younger people. And we've got to really reach out, and there are in those communities, there are a few younger people, there are teachers, there are professional people that we should be actively trying to recruit, get into the party, and get them working for it. And then have them run for political office, have them run for those state house seats. I hate to see any state house seat not challenged by a Democrat. I mean, if they don't want to challenge us, that's fine. But I think we ought to have a Democrat on those on the ballots and have somebody that'll work, just like Marksburg. Yeah.
Policy question for you. You talked about people bought pharmaceutical prices. Well, I have a patient on Xarelto, which is new blood thinners, through Medicare. They get their medication through Medicare with insurance. It's more than $2,000 a year. If they buy it from Canada, cash out of pocket, $620. Same medicine, same company.
Yes.
I mean, it's completely illegal buy from Canada. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, my thought is that the Affordable Care Act is good legislation, and I'm not going to go back on that. We got millions of people in the United States today that have got health care coverage that did not have before, so we cannot throw out the baby. But there are things we should be doing, and one of those is addressing that high cost of pharmaceuticals. And one of the things we did in that bill is we tied Medicare's hands and we don't allow them to negotiate price. And we have got to fix that so that the United States government is negotiating price. And that's the first thing that needs to be done.
And we've been doing it for the military all this time.
Okay, yeah. And see, you know, they talk about, and I've heard Chuck Grassley talking about generics and trying to work with generics and so forth. And okay, fine. But the real issue is the fact that the drug companies are charging whatever they want to for those drugs in the United States. Not in Canada, but in the United States they are. And somebody's going to have the political will to say enough's enough. You know, a drug company is certainly entitled to a profit on their product. That's what makes our country go. They need to be able to recover their research. They need to be able to make a profit, you know, and invest in more research for more new drugs and so forth. We want that to happen, but they cannot gouge us with numbers like those that you just gave. That's wrong, and it needs to be ended. That's one of my soapboxes. Anything else? Well, I really appreciate okay, I got one back here in the corner.
A lot of us are Democrats, but a lot of us are also for Bernie Sanders, and I wonder how you plan to appeal to the Sanders people to support the national ticket and their own efforts.
Well, I certainly am asking all people that were involved with Bernie's campaign to help me. I want your help. I will tell you that I believe wholeheartedly that Bernie Sanders brought up important issues, put things on the table that might or probably would not have ever been part of the dialogue in this election. And there were things that needed to be part of the dialogue. And I thank him for doing that. And you know, things like raising minimum wage needs to happen, and he championed that, and I'm glad that he did, because I think he will continue to champion that as in his role as United States Senator. And as I told the Iowa delegation the other day at the breakfast, I just can't wait to serve alongside him to be a United States Senator alongside Senator Bernie Sanders. So whatever we can do to encourage people who may not have felt like they were part of mainstream Democratic politics, if they came to the Democratic Party with Bernie, they need to be encouraged. There certainly is a place for them, and I do value their ideas and thoughts, and we will try to work as best we can towards some common goals. It's an important voice, yes.
One of Bernie Sanders' #1 issues was climate change.
Yes.
And
Yes, I think we need to be talking about climate change. We need to be talking about renewable energy of all types. You know, it kind of boggles my mind that Republican caucus in the United States Senate is not sure that climate change is real. You know, that the science is sort of suspect in their mind. You know, it is very real. And we have got to take action. It's something I feel very strongly about. I also feel very strongly about land conservation and water quality. All of those issues about leaving this planet in a better shape than we found it. And we've got a long way to go because the degradation in the last few years has been pretty substantial. I think we have to keep the pedal down on that. One of the things I want to do, and I don't think this will surprise anybody in this room, my first ask to my leader, my caucus leader, would be that I have a seat on the Senate Ag Committee. I've been Secretary of Agriculture for 8 years, and I'm a farmer today, so yes, I want to be part of that. But the important part of that right now, I think, a couple of important pieces to that. One of them is that when we write a new farm bill starting in January, we've got to be mindful of those issues. And we need to incorporate what we can do in the farm bill to slow down climate change or change that direction, what we can do to improve water quality, what we can do to conserve soil. And that needs to be a strong title in that farm bill this time, particularly. The other piece of it is we've gone through a pretty good time in agriculture for the last several years, and the people have made some money. That doesn't look as good today as it did a year ago. And so we got to make sure that as we write that new farm bill, that we have language there, that farm bill is written so that it protects family farmers and it keeps them on the farm. We cannot let another generation of family farmers drift off and go find jobs somewhere else, or we are not going to have a family farm base safe anymore. And so that's, you know, I also want to tell you that one of my friends in life is Al Gore, and one of the first, I think was the first person that talked to me about climate change and really bent my ear about that. And he was doing that back in a time when nobody was owning it, nobody was talking about it, and everybody thought maybe he was a little bit off kilter on that. He was absolutely dead right. And I talked to him just the other day, and he has not let up one bit in his passion, and he is so concerned about the melting of the polar ice cap, and the rate at which that is melting and how quickly that is going to make the oceans rise. So we've got to be serious. We've got to be serious. We've got to push that. And to the question about the new people that have come into the party with the Sanders movement, yes, let's talk about climate change. Let's all do that together with Senator Sanders. Okay, thank you.
Thank you again, Patty. We really appreciate your time. You know, folks, it seems like there are probably about two ways to get a candidate's message out to voters anymore. You know, you can just go to your Twitter account and start tweeting obnoxious things or saying obnoxious things in the press like Donald Trump, and that's all you need. Or everybody else still needs to raise money to get their message out to voters, and Patty Judge is not going to be going to be tweeting obnoxious things. So she needs your help. She needs your support. I believe it's pattyjudgeforiowa.com. Is that right? Yeah. Please just take a moment. If you got a smartphone, you can take a moment even before you leave to go to pattyjudgeforiowa.com and make a donation. This is a great opportunity. This is a very winnable seat. I mean, we have the chance to make history in electing the first Democratic woman from Iowa to the United States Senate and defeating Chuck Grassley. So thank you very much. Thank you for coming.